the Management Programme Workshop 2, looking at management excellence and in particular the difference between leadership and management, specifically for those people on the Institute of Leadership and Management Level 3 Diploma in Management. The second workshop began with a bit of a recap of what we covered last time, and as a requirement for those people who were at the last session, we discussed reading through the workbook Managing Personal and Professional Development and completed any additional exercises. In addition to that, there was an exercise to gather information about your strengths and areas for development as a leader and manager by completing the Stop, Start, Continue exercise, and then also completing your personal development plan to work on. Assignment ML9 should have been submitted to your tutor, and feedback is on the e-portfolio. During the evening session, we discussed the difference between leadership and management. We looked at several leadership models, and then we carried out several exercises to look at people's preferred leadership styles. And this workshop will cover that in a little bit more detail. The session began with a discussion around the difference between leadership and management, and the information related to this can be found on page 24 of the workbook, Understanding the Principles of Leadership and Management, which was given out at the session. If you need a copy of this, then feel free to contact your tutor, who will be able to email a copy, or you can collect a copy at the next session if that's not convenient. The fundamental difference between management and leadership was discussed, and in groups we identified characteristics of people who are either in leadership or management positions. In essence, you are both a leader and a manager, but there are times when you are doing things that we would class as management, and there are things that you do which we would class as leadership. So you wear two hats in your role. Sometimes you're carrying out tasks which we would class as management tasks. Other times you are doing things which we would class as leadership. And the group was challenged to identify which things were leadership and which were management. And a summary of this is on the screen now. So management type roles and responsibilities include things such as reporting, monitoring, measuring, doing things that often involve what we would perhaps call control and compliance, making sure jobs are done, making sure performance is correct, getting people to do things. However, when compared to leadership is slightly softer than that, and could be summarised by saying it's about your people skills. It's about your ability to get the best out of people. It's about your ability to develop independent thinkers, independent learners. It's about inspiring people, painting a picture of the future and getting people to come along for the journey. And if you look at the list of characteristics of leadership on the screen now, the vast majority of these you would class as people skills. More information on this can be found in the handouts on pages 27 and 28. We then discussed what made a great leader, and in groups we identified a variety of different people who you might class as great leaders, and we examined their characteristics. And a useful exercise for yourself is to try and identify 4 or 5 people who you would class as great leaders. They don't have to be people that you agree with, but you would have to identify them from the world of politics, sport, business, religion, and what you feel makes them a great leader. And we discussed the qualities of these individuals and then asked ourselves really the question of what sort of role model were we? We followed that up with a short video by a guy called Seth Godin, and a copy of this video is on our YouTube channel, where he talks about the difference between leadership and management and the qualities that a leader displays versus the qualities that a manager displays. And a critical part of leadership, as Seth Godin would define it, is a strong leader finds the right people and then gets out of the way so that they can grow. So the role of a leader is to try and help people grow and develop, do remarkable things, do things that others won't. It's not about control and compliance. And the video went on to then look at how leadership and running organisations has changed in recent years with the advent of the internet. The following slide shows you a list of characteristics that employees want. This was a survey of British employees, and these were the characteristics they wanted in their leaders. And you can see from the list that, again, the vast majority of the qualities that people would like to see are what you class as people skills. And we gave some examples. The article on the screen now shows an example of a football manager displaying high levels of honesty and the reasons why. So have a read of the article, pause the video, read the article, and then carry on. The top 20 list in order of rating according to employees is on the screen now. So honesty was regarded as the highest quality and came out most frequently, vision, and so on. The key question really is to look back at those qualities and characteristics, back at the slides on leadership and management, and say to yourself, what sort of role model are you? Are you a David Brent character, or are you someone that others can look up to and aspire to be like? And hopefully you don't aspire to be like David Brent. The second half of the workshop went on to look at leadership theories, and this information is covered in a lot more detail in the handouts, in the workbook Understanding the Principles of Leadership and Management, and can be found on pages 31 to 42. So please read through that information before next time, as it will be very helpful for you in the session. We carried out a leadership styles questionnaire, which is one that's been developed by Ken Blanchard, and we then moved on to talk about situational leadership and 4 different styles of leadership, which you can see on the screen now. And we discussed the difference between directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. The leadership styles questionnaire identified each person's preferred style of leadership, and we gave some examples of how this relates to the world of work. But please read page 37 in the handouts. Okay. A summary of each of the 4 different styles appears on the screen now. So you have the direct style of leader, who generally speaking is more autocratic, making the decisions, communication very much one way, moving through to someone who provides a bit more coaching, where again still they tend to be more predominantly in charge, but the communication process is much more two-way. And then you move on to a supportive leader, followed by ultimately the stage where hopefully you're able to delegate certain responsibilities. Although as a leader you're still involved, the actual decision-making process is fully in the hands of the member of staff or the member of the team. Okay, but please read page 36, it will give you a lot more information on that. Your leadership style can be influenced by a lot of factors. It could well be that your experience of past leadership role models, your views of authority, your levels of comfort with different styles of leadership could all affect your preference for one particular type of style. Okay? And you'll see other examples on the screen now. In addition to forces within the leader, we also have forces within the team members themselves and the team. And so the team's experience of leadership styles might influence their behaviours, which might in turn influence your leadership style, which might, again, their levels of need or dependency might influence your leadership style. And again, how ready members of that team are to assume positions of responsibility or levels of responsibility. So a wide variety of factors within the team may influence the particular style you need to adopt or use. Ken Blanchard talks about situational leadership, and situational leadership is where you try and change your leadership style depending on the situation you find yourself in. So that might be the situation determines a particular need for a certain style of leadership, the size of the team, the level of experience, the complexity of the task, but a lot of factors may influence the style of leadership that you choose, and that could be based on the things you see on the screen now. Situational leadership requires some level of understanding of the individuals within your team and their abilities, competence, and their levels of commitment. And the 4 levels of development you see on the screen now are explained in a bit more detail on page 38. So someone with a low level of competence and a low level of commitment would require a direct style of leadership, whereas someone with a high level of competence and a high level of commitment, you would be able to delegate responsibilities to that person. We then discussed your stop, start, continue feedback sheets, what worked, how the exercise went, what things you need to stop doing, start doing more of, or continuing to do. And it's a useful exercise to go through that with someone else and then give feedback to your team members as to what you're going to do now you've carried out that exercise. The session was wrapped up with a quick look at pages 40 and 41, and so please have a look at these before next time. And we briefly touched on the importance of culture within organisations and how leadership has a massive influence on the culture within an organisation. And that was it. The final exercise was a list of homework activities. Those will have been emailed through to you if you're currently on the programme. Really important you read through pages 24 to 47 of the workbook, Understanding the Principles of Leadership and Management. You have an assignment called ML10 which needs to be completed, and you need to complete the Employment Rights and Responsibilities workbook that will have been issued at induction. You'll also have your development plan which you need to work on, and if you've carried out any appraisals in the last 6 months, if you could bring those to the workshop as well, that would be excellent. That summarises the session. If you want any more details, please contact either myself or your tutor, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.